Good afternoon and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining our presentation, Managing and Innovating Your Restaurant During These Challenging Times, brought to you by Deliverect and Clarion Food and Beverage Events. Before we get started with our discussion, we would like to share some housekeeping items to keep in mind. All audience members are on listen-only mode, which means you are muted. We will be monitoring audience engagement on the dashboard and do encourage you to use the question panel to ask our speakers questions throughout the presentation. There will be time for live Q&A at the end of the presentation as well. Please note, webinar is being recorded and will be available online in the coming week. In today's webinar, you'll hear from Alan Moore, CEO of Byte, Nathan Jones, VP of Marketing for Spin, and Noah Hayes, GM for Canada and the US with Deliverect. Now, without further delay, let me introduce Noah Hayes.
Great, thank you, Lauren. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to be walking through managing and innovating your restaurant through challenging times, through 2020, 2021, and beyond. I've got some amazing panelists here with me to dive in this conversation. What I'll do is just give you a quick run through of the agenda for today. So I'll give you a bit of background to start on Deliverect. So we'll have a quick look at, I guess, who Deliverect is, what we do, just to give some context to the conversation, and then we'll dive into the meat of today, which is managing and innovating your restaurant through this digital transformation. And so through that, we're going to be speaking with Alan from Byte and Nathan from Spin. We'll get to know these two businesses and how they went through the past year in evolving how they market their restaurant and their ghost kitchens. About succeeding with online ordering. We'll dive into ghost and dark kitchens and virtual brands and management of this new restaurant space, and a look ahead to as the restaurant industry begins to reopen, as we start to get dining rooms again, how that'll affect the industry, and I guess how we also need to I guess pivot and evolve as restaurants through that next phase. So yeah, and as Lauren has introduced, we've got Alan Moore, CEO of Byte, and Nathan Jones, VP Marketing for Spin. Byte is a tremendous ghost kitchen operation based out in LA. Really interesting story. I'm excited to dive into it, and Alan can share more of the Byte story there. And Nathan Jones with Spin, the famous ping pong bar restaurant group. And I know that Nathan's got a lot to share there about pivoting with the pandemic and evolving the restaurant piece of the business and growing the virtual brands. So love to dive into that too. Just before we do, like I said, I'll give some quick context on Deliverect, and then I'll stop talking, and then you can start to hear from the real restaurateurs that we have on the line. But maybe just a quick look at, who is Deliverect? What do we do? Really simply put, Deliverect is helping restaurants sell online. We've seen a global shift in where commerce takes place for restaurants, right? Consumers are expecting to interact with their favorite brands on delivery marketplaces, pickup marketplaces, online ordering websites, apps, social, Google. And so restaurants have had to adopt this whole slew of new technology. Deliverect is simplifying how the restaurateur can interact with all of these new technologies. So you have one central portal to manage menus across all these channels. Orders from all these platforms are being streamlined into one tablet or directly to your POS. And now you can finally regain central financials on your entire business and have the digital arm of your business baked into your reporting. Just a bit more, I guess, on some of those points. So like I said, orders with Deliverect feed straight to your POS. So no need to rekey orders. This also with printing straight to the kitchen speeds up the overall delivery time. I'll hop a slide just because I think this illustrates the benefits a bit better. We've seen that with order integration, so Uber Eats, DoorDash, Postmates orders feeding straight to your POS, there's an 80% reduction in errors on orders. Not to mention all of the missed orders you can imagine in a lunch rush. This it equates directly to dollars saved for the restaurant, right? Every mistake that you're sending out is potentially revenue that you're not going to be collecting. We've also seen a 25% decrease, or a quarter of a full-time employee decrease in labor costs. And I think the really interesting one is, often we think about integration like this helping cut costs, but all of those delivery marketplaces, they look at metrics of a restaurant, like, what's your uptime online? How quickly do you accept orders? How many mistakes do you have or missed orders? What's your overall delivery time? What's your courier wait time? And all of those metrics help them rank the restaurant or the brand so that they can appropriately rank almost like in the SEO, rank where a restaurant appears in a search. So doing well on all these metrics helps you get to the top of the searches on those apps, which obviously feeds back into helping drive more revenues and drive more demand through all of these sales channels. Maybe a quick note on menu control, like I mentioned, now that you've got 3, 4, 5, or in Alan's case 400 different channels that you're trying to manage, those are a lot of menus that you're juggling. So Deliverect allows you to manage those menus in one central spot. That menu can take on variations, so different menus on different platforms, different apps, different menus for your different locations or regions or states, different menus for time of the day or day of the week. All of that is now controlled in like a menu content system of Deliverect, and it's entirely self-serve. You're managing this with your marketing team and your restaurant operations team. And along that line with menu control, obviously this is a big piece of marketing your business. We'll get into this today, but marketing your business through these platforms means controlling all of your specials or your promos, your happy hours, the images, even like the naming and branding of your products to get creative and seeing the results from pivoting how you structure your menu. This is marketing today through all of these digital means. And now you're able to control this in one central portal through Deliverect. So I'll leave it there with the background on Deliverect. Would be happy to speak about us more at length, but I'll provide some information on how to reach out to us after at the end of the webinar, and please don't hesitate to reach out. But to get to the meat of today's conversation, managing and innovating in your restaurants in challenging times, why don't we start by getting to know a bit more about the businesses of our two panelists. So Alan, why don't we start with you? Would love, well, first, I guess, thanks for joining us today on this talk. And would love if you can even just kick us off with a quick intro to yourself and Byte to Byte, and yeah, maybe the story of your business and your growth story and how you came to today.
Happy to. So Alan Moore, CEO of Byte to Byte. Thank you, Noah. Nice to meet you, Nathan. So I'll start with where we are today, and I've got to get this right, so I'm going to look slightly to the right so I get the facts correct. Today, we operate 9 culinary centers or kitchens. Our addressable market in Los Angeles as Byte to Byte is 5 million people. We have 27 digital restaurant brands, and as of today, we're serving from 1,000 storefronts, the majority of which are powered by Deliverect. If we didn't have Deliverect, we actually couldn't do this. So if you go to buy a storefront, we mean Postmates, Angel Wings at one of our kitchens. So today is 1,000 storefronts. We're adding 50 storefronts a week. By the end of this year, we'll have 15 culinary centers covering pretty much all of the Los Angeles metro area. So that's where we got to today. A year ago, I was sitting in a small office in a restaurant we just bought in Hollywood called Chibo, having just laid off all of our staff, trying to work how to dive deeper into the delivery business. Byte to Byte had been formed prior but we got slightly caught out with what turned out, of course, to be the pandemic, the opportunity it created for us and the misery it created for everybody else. And on the back of that and some very quick footwork, including getting to know Deliverect, we took ourselves today to 1,000 storefronts. This time last year, we had 25. We employ somewhere in the region of 100 people. We operate from 8 a.m. till 2 a.m. 7 days a week. Our busiest day ever was Christmas Day last year, when we fulfilled nearly $50,000 of food delivery business in somewhere in the region of 16 hours. And to put a bit of humor into this, my Christmas Day was spent delivering tiramisu between our kitchens. So that's a scale of what we are. Our ambition is to get to 100 culinary centers and 16,000 brands in the next 2.5 years. That's the path that we're on. I can answer lots of questions, but that probably gives the story of who and what we are today.
Thanks, Alan. That's a great overview. Can you maybe share, I guess, if you had to, I know that there are many, but if you had to list like your top 2 or 3 challenges in 2020, like from when you first got to, bought Chibo to today, what were they?
Staying in business, number 1, surviving. Number 2, biggest challenge we had, which Deliverect fixed for us, was actually making sure we're open. So for the first 6 months, we thought we had storefronts that were open, which were not actually open. And then the other problem was fulfilling. One side, of course, was cooking the food, but the next one was actually making sure it got to the customer. So ours was very much a logistics challenge. And then move to the other side of this, we had to market and get people to know who and what we were. I should add one thing. I push back against the name Ghost Kitchens, as Noah knows. We cook food, it's as real as we get. But we do operate 27 brands out of each of our culinary centers. We at every center have signage, imagery that tells people what we do. We in no way mask that we are a ghost kitchen or a virtual restaurant operator. We consider ourselves to be delivery only and take out restaurants, and that's how we position ourselves.
When you say, I guess maybe just one quick question on that before, well, we have topics to dive into, marketing and scaling and all that I'd love to dive into, but you say actually getting the food to the customer was one of the biggest challenges. Can you expand on that?
Absolutely. Obviously, marketing the order, receiving the order, getting the order into our point of sale, getting it to print on our kitchen line, getting the food cooked accurately, get it put in a bag accurately, then making sure that the delivery driver arrived, took it, and delivered it to the customer.
All things you assume will happen, but it's
none of them happen.
Never assume.
None of this is easy. Yeah, it's not easy. And for 6 months last year, that was one of our biggest fights, actually making sure we fulfilled the orders we actually received.
Alan, thanks for the overview. I want to jump over quickly and get a quick hello to Nathan too. Nathan, thanks for joining. Looking forward to diving a bit deeper into your business in the talk today. Could you give us a quick intro, introduce yourself and Spin and the story of Spin?
Absolutely. And first off, nice to meet Alan. Thanks for having me, Noah. The virtual kitchens and everything are very interesting. Spin, which is a ping pong social club, often known as an entertainment destination, came about when a couple of friends back in 2007 had a crazy idea of opening up a ping pong club. And the first one in 2009 in New York off 23rd Street in the Flatiron District came to be. Since then, we've expanded to San Francisco, Seattle, Chicago, Philadelphia, a number of locations, with Boston opening up soon. And during the pandemic, or at least during the onset, for Spin, we were faced with very real directives, mandates, municipal regulations, just as everyone else was. And we tried to pivot. And luckily for us, our CEO, Peter Vanderman, had a lot of insight, a lot of foresight into what was going on with virtual kitchens. So in an effort to maintain or keep our staff to maintain connection with the community, we look to our executive chefs. And through collaboration and association, Eat Side was formed with a total of 9 brands that could maintain the workforce, that could leverage the commercial kitchens, and we actually began scaling this through the summer.
Great. And is that, I guess, Eat Side as a concept, did that start in one of your locations, and then have you started to roll out, I guess, across the spin, brick and mortars, or was that like a wide rollout across the business?
Sure. So within one location in New York, we've got the pilot program running for just over a year now. And we've learned a lot. We've scaled, we've made mistakes. We've also opened briefly in Philadelphia. Due to certain regulation, we had to close that back down. So to maintain some continuity in the openings, we're looking to reopen as soon as possible, as soon as safe to do so, as soon as we can maintain the workforce and demand for all of our other locations throughout the U.S.
And I love the story because it's, I guess the pandemic hits, you realize that, you need to find a new way to engage with your consumer. You have these amazing executive chefs, the commercial kitchens, and thus like Eat Side is born. What were the biggest challenges, I guess, in executing that new strategy?
A lot of it was the unknown. This was the first time running a virtual kitchen. We certainly have world-class chefs, the kitchens that support certainly a out of this world culinary experience. So using these chefs and creating the concepts, I think, was almost the easy part. The more difficult part was to go out and understand what that volatility would be within the delivery network. What channels to select? How do we communicate with the customers? How do we collect data and preserve that data to create segmentation, to speak to the customers and the channels they want to be communicated within?
And I guess also just being based in the first pilot site in New York, what partners, I guess, did you end up choosing for delivery marketplaces or other? Who did you end up partnering with on the tech side?
Well, we went with the largest 3PDs, the third-party delivery service providers, and then we also wanted to make sure we had our own shopping cart, so that certainly we could customize it and speak to the consumers on a level that we would want the food and the menu presented. This was a bespoke shopping cart, and then we used existing platforms, internal technology platforms, marketing platforms, to warehouse that data to become the point of truth before remarketing, before the drip marketing started. However, the majority of the business was indeed through the 3PDs. So we became quite reliant on the 3PDs, and then trying to figure out how do we garner that information, how do we collect that information to make it actionable.
Right. And I guess grow the business on your own direct cart, right? Being the end goal there.
There's a little bit more flexibility there, or at least some elasticity in terms of how we can run promotions, how we can customize the menu, the layouts, these specials, so that we definitely want to listen to the customers. We have a world-class kitchen, and they've created amazing menus, so definitely a lot of confidence there. It's really, how do we communicate that? How do we entice people to try it for the first time so they become raving fans? And it was really through having that bespoke cart, having that shopping cart that we built, that really gave us more visibility into the needs of the consumers and our customers.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks, Nathan and Alan, for a quick overview of your businesses. For anyone who wasn't familiar, I guess, coming into today, would love to dive into marketing. You both touched on this already and how critical it is. we all know this is how restaurants need to engage with their consumers today, or all businesses for that matter. But 90% of guests research a restaurant online before dining, and I guess now in this world, 100% of orders when dine-in is closed is being researched online. That's how you're finding the restaurant and getting the food. But also nearly 2/3 of guests viewed a restaurant's website, their own website, not just the 3PD, before selecting where to dine. So Nathan, maybe we can kick it off with you. How did spin stay top of mind for the customer? Or maybe more relevant, as Eat Side was born, how did you find a way to get the brand in front of the consumer? What was the new marketing strategy there?
This went back to more traditional approaches, street teams, community outreach, and certainly during the beginning, we had our frontline responders. So we really became involved with donations and community outreach programs. This was really because we didn't have a customer base at the time, and we found a way that we could give back to the community. So we saw this as an opportunity, but also it served as an operational learning experience. We were able to use this time to provide gradual incremental lift in the business without trying to aggressively go out and increase that business quickly. The community outreach was followed by street teams, was followed by affinity programs. So just partnering with local businesses, letting them know that we were around, that we wanted to support them, and that we would ask them to consider us. From there, we did a little bit more in the digital realm. So certainly native advertising within the platforms. And because there's so many different types of multivariate split testing approaches that could be taken, we tried them all. Threw everything we could against the wall, saw what stuck, and scaled it from there.
Okay. And I guess like in the digital, I mean, you're building out Facebook and Instagram campaigns, or did you experiment with any other new forms, or TikTok or anything different? Or can you share a bit more about your digital strategy without, I guess, giving up any secrets?
No secrets at all. This is all very straightforward. The display ads that you're referencing, for Facebook, Instagram, certainly TikTok, as well as showcase ads with Yelp and some of these other directory-based services and publishers. Always recommended to go out and test various channels using the similar creative. See what resonates with the different types of archetypes, or different archetypes that you've created, the various segments that you've created for the various brands and food categories, cuisine types. And then after you've split tested through these different channels, find out if there's a consistent type of creative, a market message that maintains continuity throughout these channels that can then be challenged with new creative and optimized from there. It's really more of a data-driven, pragmatic approach rather than trying to go in with an intuitive message.
Okay. And then have you seen, I guess, growth at different rates for the different brands, the different food brands?
Absolutely, and not always what we expected. Within New York, within Philadelphia, is the two that we have the most data from. Certain types, I would say, also depended on the prevalence of the popularity of the 3PDs. So New York, Grubhub has a larger presence. In Philadelphia, DoorDash does. Well, based on the market penetration and what types of audiences they cater to, we thought certain types of brands would do better than another. Well, that absolutely was not the case. More competition didn't mean less orders. That meant more visibility, more top of mind realization. So we were more readily able to scale those than the ones that we thought were underserved. So it's been certainly as much proactive outreach as possible, but also a lot of it's been reactive.
Interesting. Thanks, Nathan. Alan, maybe we can pop over to you. Can you give us a quick, I guess, overview of Byte to Byte marketing and branding strategy? I know we've talked about the awesome new branding that you've rolled out across all the brands. But yeah, would love to hear, I guess, your insights here.
Of course, happy to. I'm hoping you can hear me. Yes?
We can.
This is good. Okay, so we have 27 brands. Every brand has its own Facebook, Instagram, Google My Business, Yelp page. Everyone is kept up to date. Everyone receives constant posting. We don't overdo it, but we do, as Nathan said, we strive to put out a consistent message. What we have done in recent months is we've created our own photo studio. We're in it every month, rephotographing all of our menus, which is a massive undertaking. So we're very much at the first thing is to get the photograph to look right on Postmates, DoorDash, whoever it is, then make sure it ties back to the same images and imagery and brand positioning that we've got on our Facebook and Instagram and Google. Then, of course, we're using all of the ad services to put out the message. But being very practical, the most important things to everybody here to know how to be successful, make sure that your store is actually open on Postmates. Make sure that you've got it categorized. So if you're selling a sandwich, make sure it's in the category section. A lot of this is really basic things which you assume will work, but they do not. So, and we've had the same experience. We've had some brands that we thought were really clever that didn't work. And we've had some dumb brands that have done so well, we've been shocked how well we've done. And I won't tell you how we categorize one. We've got one called No Joke PBJ, which we launched on the 2nd of April this year, which, so to explain, that is the day after April Fool's Day, so it's no joke. That brand is, I think, candidly very one-dimensional. It's just peanut butter jelly sandwiches. We've done extremely well with it. So you've got to be brave, try different things, and I think anybody who says this, they've got this business cracked, they haven't. People are still learning every day. And we do all of the analysis of what people buy, which brands drive the most modifiers, which of course for us are the most profitable items. And we focus on getting that message out. But I wouldn't claim for 1 minute we've done anything clever, but we've stuck at it and we've pivoted as quickly as we need to do to make it work. Remembering that, whatever, a large percent of our business comes through Postmates, DoorDash, Uber Eats and Grubhub. Ultimately, those are walled gardens. They don't make it easy. They love to spend your money promoting, but be practical. It's a very low margin business. You can soon give it all away. I can claim one thing. We have never run a buy one, get one campaign. We don't see the point. There we are.
Can you share a bit more on, I guess, the strategy around the branding? So you, like, how long are you going to let a brand run and not have it succeed before you're pulling it and trying a new concept?
Oh, that's a leading question now. Okay, you know, we have never turned off a brand. Every brand we created going back almost 4 years still exists. Some we tend to more carefully. What we do is, as we see a brand beginning to gain traction, we put more money behind it and we put more creative behind it. We think the creative side, the photography, is absolutely vital, and we do not use the platform photographers. We do everything ourselves. And if anybody takes a look at No Joke PBJ, have a look at the URL, you see it's a beautiful piece of photography work, and that's what sells it. People buy with their eyes. But no, we've never turned a brand off. There you are.
Well, it's because you've had success with all of your brands. That's why, Alan. But I guess
almost.
I know that you've also launched your own online ordering with FlipDish.
Yes.
How have you gone about trying to grow the orders on that channel?
Okay, so in fact, and that was your introduction, wasn't it? No, so we wanted, exactly as Nathan has said, to offer our own shopping carts and the ability for people to order direct. We have got 27 brands on FlipDish at 9 locations. We're seeing the revenues grow every day. Principally, to date, we've focused on word of mouth in the stores to persuade people who are coming in to pick up to order from us directly. We've used some other campaigns that I won't go into here that have encouraged people who might be ordering from us to find us directly through Flipdish. We also, in the next few weeks, are launching our own combined website and shopping cart, which is byte2byte.com, which is consumer facing. It's in the beta phase, and we will be pushing for people to go to that directly to order from any or all of our brands. And in there are search functions to find a burger or whatever you'd like to buy. So to date with Flipdish, we've driven our business to being pickup. We are now going to doing delivery as well.
Interesting. Great. Thanks. Thanks, Alan. Thanks, Nathan. Let's keep things moving. I'm realizing that we're still on topic 1 and we're halfway through the webinar. So we'll hop to succeeding with online ordering. Obviously, a big piece of this is making sure that, as you touched on, Alan, you can actually successfully receive the order, accept it, print it, prepare it, hand off to courier. I mean, with some stats, this might be redundant, but I mean, we know that online ordering is on the rise. 60% of US consumers are ordering once a week online. In their large orders, a third of consumers are spending at least $50 on average per order. And again, more and more consumers are saying that they'll spend more on an order off premise than on premise. So I guess, Alan, we can start with you. Can you share more about what you were talking about earlier, which is how do you succeed with these online orders once they get into your establishment? Once they're in your facility, how do you make sure that you succeed and complete and like honor that order?
Okay, I'll actually start with the end of it, which is we want to obviously have a happy customer. Any customer that we have the phone number for or the contact details, we endeavor to reach out to and get feedback. So the first thing is, do not be afraid of criticism. Do not be afraid of feedback. Use it to build your business. On the order coming in, we use Deliverect to aggregate and get our orders into the kitchen. We print the ticket. We have a target of the food being ready within 15 minutes. So our food prep is set at 15 minutes. We aim to do the handoff within 5 minutes. We use expediters, runners, and people to do the handoff. We are very focused on offering a customer service.
Oh, Alan, we might have lost you there. Nathan, can you hear me? Yeah, can you hear Alan? No, okay. Well, we'll message Alan, maybe Lauren and the Clarion team, if you could message Alan to let him know that we've lost his audio. Alan, can you hear us? Oh, I think you're back. Now. You're back now, perfect. Okay, great. Sorry, we lost you right when you had said you have expediters, runners to make sure that orders are getting to the couriers, I believe.
Yeah, so expediters, runners, ensuring we get the food to the courier. We work very hard on accuracy. We work on making sure the handoff to the courier is within 5 minutes. If we get a DoorDash driver closing us down because they say we were late or they give us a bad review, we are straight on the phone to DoorDash. We are extremely proactive with the platforms, and we're very proactive with our customers. I should say every single one of our restaurants at every location has its own unique phone number. So if you phone Angel Wings at Sunset, we will answer as Angel Wings and we will follow up. And to give a scale of what we're dealing with, we're actually launching a customer service center in Puerto Rico later this year. So we think it's all about customer service and follow through.
Where do you find that the chain breaks the most on that order fulfillment?
The handoff to the drivers. Inaccurate orders and handoff to the drivers, some of which is the drivers taking the food home and eating it themselves, or just having a little taste of what was in the packet. And the other one is the driver arriving late. We have big issues with batched orders where I won't use the particular, but one of the platform arrives to pick up the food, the driver walks out and then comes up to pick up another delivery. And then we check where they're going to and find that they're routed in a particular order, which means they're driving 30 minutes one way to drop off an order to then drive back to deliver the second order.
So yeah,
It's all about the handoff. And if I can just finish off, the dirty secret of all of this is you can fight it all you want, but the platforms punish you for everything that goes wrong is your fault. The food is late, it's your fault. If the pickup is too slow, it's your fault. If it's inaccurate, your fault. And whether you get reimbursed by the platform or not makes no difference. You're knocked down on the positioning of their platform.
I guess speaks to customer service being key and making sure
Yes.
that you building that new office or that team to handle customer queries. One cool new, I guess, evolution in the tech of this space is being able to use any chosen delivery or fulfillment partner, or I guess more the breaking out of these offerings into an order and a delivery. So for any of these, you could technically use that marketplace just for the order and then use a different partner for delivery, or you could have one partner for delivery deliver all of these orders, right? These are tools that are coming out in the space and are APIs that the marketplaces have just released this year, and we're building a tool to actually so Alan, you could have if there's one partner that does delivery the best, you could have them do the delivery for orders from all the other partners. But yeah, it's
absolutely.
Really
I believe we're starting that next week.
Yeah. Cool.
We're starting that next week with Flipdish.
Yeah. Nathan, would love to hear your take on this too. I guess you had touched on it as well. I mean, getting the order into the systems and executing on the orders properly. But can you share, I guess, what were some learnings that you've had or challenges maybe that you faced with fulfilling orders from online as you grew that side of the business?
Well, I'm sure anyone who's done VKs and entered this market segment have seen the walls of tablets, and it becomes as you increase the number of concepts, number of brands, completely impractical to keep track of them all. And as we look at ranking and order fulfillment, the need to make every order accurate, to make sure that it's prepared fresh, that it's handed off to the drivers in the right way, that those relationships are maintained with those drivers, and that we do take responsibility from the point an order is received to the point it's delivered, regardless of what happens in between. And because of that, with these, the number of tablets, it becomes, I would say, the weak link, that pain point where if anything is dropped in that process, and as you have more tablets, more interfaces, it becomes increasingly easier to make mistakes just with the numbers. And if you make mistakes, then with any of those concepts that you've worked so hard to create the menus, the menu engineering that goes behind it, the kitchen staff, the standard operating procedures, the marketing, just to have that one thing break down, resulting in a bad review and then reduced ranking within the algorithm is devastating. So to invest a little in the marketing technology to facilitate the orders, to ensure that menu management, which becomes, it's a linear amount of work that goes into it. You think 3 concepts might be a little bit easier than 1. It's almost like kids. 3 kids isn't 3 times as much work, it's 10 times as much. So as we look at increasing the number of concepts, the number of menus, and consolidating that menu management, even without the point of sale integration or some of these other feature sets, that by itself, I think, has been one of the biggest game-changing applications within the business for us. Certainly, there's a lot of other challenges, and a lot of respect to Alan in mentioning the need for small things like individual phone numbers for each concept. Well, with 2 or 3, it might be easy. With the numbers that you're talking about, it becomes a technological implementation that definitely requires back-end support. And I think that's true for all facets of rolling out multiple concepts. In terms of the operations at the ground level, it's a learned experience. How to display the right signs, how to communicate, how to confirm, how to look at routes, and how to mitigate any negative reviews that arise because of certain delivery issues.
It's it's a theme that keeps popping up here, but it's you know, you being responsible for the success of all of these pieces of the journey of the order and the delivery that I guess you only have so much control over, right? And so, and how critical it is, because it all feeds into a bad review or a missed order, feeds into the algorithms on all these platforms, and it's like a feedback loop. And so yeah, it's interesting, but it's I hadn't thought myself actually about the level of support needed for each of these brands, but it must be enormous as you grow, you know, 3, 5, 50 new kitchens or brands. Those are 50 restaurants that, you know, are going to get the same number of inbounds. So yeah, really interesting. Hopping to our next topic, and I should have changed this wording, but the rise of virtual kitchens, ghost kitchens, dark kitchens. Marketing made the deck, not me. But we all know that this is a burgeoning space, right? Euromonitor had claimed it would be $1 trillion industry by 2030. We're touching on this already a bit in our convo, but Nathan, as you grow the VK side of your business, what is most critical for you now as you think about rolling out these brands to all of your new locations and expanding that eat side part of the business? What are the key considerations as you scale?
It's now how to compress those timelines so that we can reach self-sustainability as soon as we announce that we are going to be opening a virtual kitchen or any of these concepts, and to open all of the concepts with all of the delivery providers, with the shopping carts, with the review platforms, with the publishers and networks, all in tandem. And it's that sort of choreography or direction that we're looking to really streamline and make that replication go quickly as possible. So having marketing technology that is proven at one location, working out the kinks, understanding the workflows, the staffing requirements, maintenance requirements, has been instrumental in giving us confidence that we can roll this out, that we can replicate it for multiple locations. The other one is the very current thing is distribution. And I think going into the rest of 2021, the major a lot of the conversation I think is going to be around inventory management. And these are for hybrid applications as well as perhaps restaurants or other institutions within the hospitality industry, but also certainly distribution and how we're looking at franchises developing their own delivery networks and maintaining more control over that entire experience for that white glove treatment of the food that's been carefully prepared by the chefs in the kitchens.
Alan, can you share, I guess, some of your thoughts as you work towards expanding that to those, you know, that big aspiration of, you know, I think you'd said 1,500 storefronts in the next 2.5 years. What?
Okay, 16,000.
16,000, right? Yeah, not 1,500, 15,000.
Yeah, we currently have about 1,000. How do we get there? It's very difficult, and I think anybody who thinks that ghost and dark kitchens are an easy answer, they really aren't. This is a tough business, tight margins, fickle market, and some very big companies as the puppet masters. You have to be very practical. You do not control the whole process. I want to jump back on one thing. I view Deliverect as a utility. To me, paying Deliverect is no different than me remembering to pay our internet bill every month. And I don't talk so much about Deliverect here because I know it works, and we've got plenty of other challenges. So the great thing that has been for us, and when we're talking about the challenges we dealt with last year, one thing we stopped worrying about when we got Deliverect was being able to update our menu and receive our orders. So then, of course, being restaurateurs, we just go on to the next fire or problem that we're dealing with. So I think it's ever so important to understand, Deliverect to us is a utility, which is fantastic because it means it works, we switch it on, we don't worry about it again. because kitchen business, there are plenty of worries. In terms of growing, I agree completely with Nathan. Inventory management, food preparation, food that can be prepared and out in 15 minutes, food quality, packaging, scaling with our marketing, systemizing are all part of what we're dealing with. I mean, we've gone from, I don't know, this time last year, 10 employees. I think now we're at 110. We're employing more people every week. We have to train them. It's a slightly strange thing for a chef to be standing in a kitchen waiting for Deliverect to print out an order. They have no idea what's going to print out. It's not like in the restaurant, they saw some diners come in and sit down and think, oh, well, I'll be getting the appetizer order. In Los Angeles, it's 8 o'clock in the morning, breakfast time. Well, somebody's going to order fish and chips. None of it makes any sense. What people order, I almost, because I see the orders coming on Deliverect, want to reach out to them and say, you should make better nutritional choices at this time of the day. So there's, in terms of scaling, it's understanding your market, understanding your demographics, your psychographics. It's being very nimble. It's Nathan managed specials. We aren't clever enough to do specials.
We've lost you, Alan. Oh, Alan, we'll try to get Alan's audio back here. Nathan, just as you were getting a compliment from Alan too, at least we got that in there. But okay.
I'll take it where I can get it.
Yeah.
You're back. Sorry, I didn't hear. I apologize. I lost you, but apologies. Was that
okay.
enough?
No,
as you know, I can talk for hours. So.
It's good. I think we lost you just as you were saying that. Well, you're praising Nathan on his ability to handle promotions. Completely.
Promotions. I mean, we've geared up to launch a kitchen every 2 weeks is what we've geared up to. We've slowed down for the last month. We've been doing some staff retraining because we were concerned about quality.
A lot to consider as you grow. And yeah, I guess you don't want, opening the store, making the stores, sure the store is online, like you were saying, those are things that you should be able to take for granted as you're worrying more about inventory and scaling and customer requests and advertising and all the other pieces that you mentioned. I guess. But
I just want to say customer focus. Never forget that they're diners at your restaurant. It doesn't matter whether they ordered from Postmates, DoorDash or Grubhub. They hold you 100% responsible for their dining experience.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, I think the consumer, I was just reading an article on this the other day, the consumer still thinks that they're ordering from the restaurant, right? Like even though they're going to be taking a bigger piece, or you might not be recognizing the full piece of that revenue, they're still Spin clients or Chibo or Burger Bitch clients, right? And so it's a matter of if you want to re-educate them or transition them to new ordering interfaces, you can do so. But, yeah.
I should add to you, we have a customer who orders from Postmates 3 days a week. They then phone the restaurant directly to make their special requests. Go figure.
Yeah. Old habits die hard.
Yes.
Cool. Well, I guess last topic that we'll hit on today is I guess looking ahead. It will be interesting speaking to you both with being in the, I guess, virtual kitchen space, how you see the market shifting as regulations start to ease up on in-store dining. Do you think you'll see a growth in pickup? I guess obviously, especially for Spin, right? Are you going to begin to, I guess, offer those same brands that were pure virtual? Or are those now going to be offered to the in-house visitors? Be interesting to know, I guess, how you see the market and in your business pivoting, in the next year or 2 years as things return to some form of normal. Nathan, could you maybe kick us off?
Certainly. So with the increase in number of concepts within a single kitchen space, it certainly comes into play. You're thinking about how many stations you have, what the prep time is, how many pickups you have. A lot of these operational concerns to determine how much bandwidth you have to also meet the demand of a in-house or walk-in traffic retail consumer. So it's really looking at the balance between what the optimum capacity is for that kitchen to meet both, and to make sure that experience isn't diminished in any way by juggling too many balls. So we are actually looking at making sure we have the right mix of concepts, and also being able to provide some seasonality to the menu, to make it exciting, to change it up, to go ahead and provide specials or promotions that revolve around special events, birthdays, graduations. And this is where I think it's going to become quite exciting, that we can now expand that culinary experience to also complement the different types of events that we'll be hosting. I'm not quite sure exactly what it's going to look like, but the options are nice to have.
Awesome. I guess the kitchens and chefs will be that much more nimble after this whole exercise. Yeah. Awesome.
Yes.
Alan, would love your take too on what's ahead.
I mean, our take, we've got 9 culinary centers open, 6 of them have a dining room or a patio attached. So since California or Los Angeles started opening up, we've got busier, both with our food delivery and obviously our dine-in or patio trade. We see that trend continuing. We, like Nathan, are looking at our in-house menus. I mean, the secret of our business is we don't cook anything we can't deliver. So for the last year, we've been on a mission of streamlining what we'd consider our in-house dining menus with our delivery menus. One of the things we are doing, particularly, we've got quite a large restaurant in Hollywood called Chivo, is we're taking top sellers off our virtual brands and putting them onto that menu to test them out and get customer feedback. So we're seeing people going back to work, they don't have time to cook, they're still ordering in, and we're seeing our counter business for takeout picking up, increasing every day. And we like that. One, of course, the margins are high, but it also means we're dealing with the customers direct. We see a bright and rosy future with just a few challenges and bumps in the road.
Yeah,
there you go.
It's thank you, and it's funny. I'm noticing a parallel with the retail industry too, and we saw, maybe 5 years, 7 years ago, the rise of e-commerce first retailers. And it was always, you'd go brick and mortar, and then you'd start to sell online. It was had to be an arm of the business, and then there was a flip, and there you see Everlane and Allbirds and all these businesses that started as e-commerce first, and then they needed brick and mortars to meet with their consumer and engage their consumer and have somewhere for them to go in their most popular cities. And we're almost seeing something similar here, right? Where you can expand your brand online, you can grow a following, and then you can bring it to your consumers in store. Really interesting. Cool. Alan, Nathan, thanks so much for joining. Really appreciate you coming on here and sharing your insights. I learned a lot from you. I took a lot of notes, and I'm sure a lot of the folks online did as well. Quick note, I guess, everyone that's joined today, thank you so much for coming online and joining the webinar and the panel. If you'd like to learn more about Deliverect, please look us up, deliverect.com, or you can write in that email to hello@deliverect.com. We'd love to hear from you. And I guess we'll take it now to transition to QA. So if you have any questions for myself, or even better for Alan or Nathan, we'd love to hear from you. And I think I'm passing the mic back to our moderator, Lauren, to help moderate the QA.
Yeah, so thank you all so much for the great presentation. We do have a couple of questions. I'll try to get to them all. Someone from our audience wants to know, Alan, have you had any challenges with packaging? If you have, what are your costs now as a percentage of the selling price? And do you charge a surcharge? And then as a little bit of an aside, do you believe contactless is here to stay?
First one, packaging is an ongoing challenge. Consistency, particularly during the pandemic, has been really hard to get the same packaging every day. I'll be really blunt. We have a man in a van who goes to restaurant depots.
Oh, it looks like we've lost you. Nope, we will course correct momentarily though.
We can't hear you for now, Alan. Maybe Lauren, we can move on to one more question.
Sure. So, so obviously, both of you, and Nathan, I'll feed this to you first. Both of you have been managing a number of restaurant brands within your concepts. Has there been any change to the way that you're managing or accessing or sharing customer data across those brands?
So I'll jump in, I guess. No real changes to the customer data. We use customer data not in a sharing capacity, but more so to enhance that feedback loop, to be able to listen to our customers and provide them with the right communication channels so that they can easily contact us. And certainly the phone numbers, the emails, the direct messaging on any of the social media channels, SMS, and it's really making sure that we're available to them in the channel or communication path that's best for them. And that's probably one of our greatest takeaways is providing that flexibility to the customer base.
Alan, I don't know if we have you back.
Am I back?
You are back. I'll let you finish your sentence if you'd like.
I've forgotten what it was. How far did I get?
About packaging. You said you candidly have someone going to Restaurant Depot.
We candidly have a man in a van or a lady in a van every day purchasing directly from the likes of Restaurant Depot so that we can maintain consistency. It's very difficult in terms of pricing. No, there's no surcharge, and we actually moving forward, packaging will be a challenge.
And I guess just to wrap this up for everyone, do you think that contactless is here to stay?
Yes, though I won't get into what the definition of contactless is. We all know what people say, and we also know the reality of what goes on. But in principle, yes, the idea and concept of contactless is here to stay for the time being.
Nathan?
I would mirror exactly what Alan said, and look forward to seeing how it unfolds.
Yeah.
Noah, do you want to answer that just from your standpoint?
Sure. Yeah. No, I'd echo our experts, but yeah, I imagine that some of the pivots from the last year are comforts that consumers are coming to expect, and it's changed the psyche of what I think it's what we expect with providers of like providing our food. So yeah, I imagine a lot of that's here to stay.
Great. Well, we so appreciate all of these thoughts and for your presentation. We're at the end of our time, so we'd like to thank our audience for joining, and of course to Deliverect for presenting this session. Just as a reminder to everyone, there will be a recording of this session made available in the coming days, so stay tuned for that email. And again, thank you, Alan, Nathan, and Noah. We really appreciated the insightful conversation, and we hope everyone has a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.